heard the news, what happened, and we'll catch up with him, but fortunately he's okay. We got a grand final for the ages on the way, but what a show coming up here. Not only are we talking Penrith, Melbourne, Nelson, is he going to miss Kevin Walters? What a way for that to explode. Who is going to take over at the Broncos? There's so much to get through. James Graham, hello to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dan. Great to be here. Obviously, this grand final, it's the two best teams of season 2024. And just quickly on Ben Dobbin, he a colleague of ours, but a friend of ours, and our thoughts are with him. When he joins the show a little bit later on, we will be taking the mickey out of him, undoubtedly. But I'm really pleased that the operation was a success, and he looks to be on the road to recovery.
That's it. James Hooper, hello to you.
Afternoon, boys. How are we? Ripping weekend of footy, and we've got the grand final that I think all rugby league supporters have been cheering for most of the year. They've been the best two sides, and I think we're set for an absolute epic next Sunday.
I think this man's going to be coming off the sight screen when he runs in this afternoon. Gorden Tallis, good afternoon to you.
G'day, Dan. How you going, mate? Welcome to first grade.
It's a pleasure to be here. I just had the Tonya Harding, Ben Dobbin out of the way for the last 2 weeks of the season.
Oh, there you go. Steve Bradbury.
Tough week for you, Gordy. We'll get to Kevy, but that was a pretty brutal axing at the end.
No, it hasn't been. It's a decision that the club made. I went around and saw Kevy. He's fine. And, as what Wayne Bennett always says, there's only two coaches. One's that's coaching and one's that's waiting to be sacked. And and it happened there, and he's not the only one. Wayne and Seabolt, and there's been a few, and Kevy's the latest one.
Yeah, there's some very interesting things that were said in the aftermath, some scorched earth that perhaps didn't need to happen. Hello to everyone watching on YouTube. Apparently this was a roaring success last week, Jimmy.
Wow.
People watching us
You did say
ugly
YouTube.
on YouTube. YouTube. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Joey.
It's going gangbusters
joke, but
on
it's funny.
YouTube, Dan. Absolutely flying. The numbers were off the charts last week.
Beautiful.
So big shout out to everybody who's catching up with us on there.
Apparently, we're on TikTok as well.
Is that
appealing
really?
to a
What?
younger audience? Yeah.
Wow.
Did the promotional video for it yesterday with JD at the ground. So yeah, TikTok. So the younger generation can enjoy.
We're better prepared this time. I mean, we had TVs that were crooked. We had TVs that were on in the background, breaching all sorts of copyrights. We fixed all that up this week. So we're on till 2 o'clock. And by the way, there's women's semi-finals we're calling after we're done as well. So it's all footy all day here on Triple M Footy. Last night, Jimmy, Penrith again found a way to get it done. They haven't seemed on all year, except for the 40 minutes against the Roosters. But Nathan Cleary, I mean, I know people get sick of commentators just gushing over Nathan Cleary, but how can you not when he delivers a performance like that just when they needed it?
Yeah, clearly the best player on the park by some margin. The try assist to Brian Toto in the second half was absolutely sublime. The ability to process all the information that's available to him, break out of a tackle on last play. He's already explored down that short side. It's come back to him from Luai, breaks a tackle, and then instantly puts the ball over in a certain style that needed to be done, but so difficult to execute, especially in the conditions where it was greasy as well. And just found Brian Toto. Those are the types of plays that separate him as the best player in the competition. I thought Penrith, they looked comfortable yesterday. It's interesting what the wet weather does to them. I remember St. Helens coming over. They beat them in the wet weather. The Tigers, I think last year, beat them in the wet weather. So
their record, Jimmy, I didn't get to this on air last night, Oops. In dry weather, and wet weather's a bit funny because what determines is one drop of rain doesn't make it a wet weather game, so it's a bit arbitrary. But the last 2 years in dry, 37-7, and a lot of those losses were when the Origin players weren't there, but 37-7, so what's that, about 80%? Before last night, if you include the St. Helens game, 2-7 when it rains. 2-7 over the last 2 years. It's their kryptonite. It has been their kryptonite. And they were making some mistakes last night, Hoops, that you normally wouldn't expect in a big game from them.
Yeah, but they just continue to find a way to get it done, Dan. Like I think to Jammer's point about Nathan Cleary, he's playing with a busted right shoulder. He had a guard on his hand last night. Clearly there's also an issue with that right hand as well. And then he's come off 2 hamstring injuries. He's actually only played 11 games all season. So to be able to then produce those big moments, the 40-20, the ball for Paul Alamotti, the try-saving tackles on his own goal line, he is in rare air at the moment, and while ever he is in that vein of form, well, they're going to be damn hard to stop against the Melbourne Storm next weekend.
Gordy, he's doing things right that, like, it's blasphemous to say, but aren't we into sort of Joey, Wally territory? Just in what I know he's only 26 and he's got to dominate Origin and all those things. But he's doing things that only those greats can do.
Yeah, there's no doubt that at the same age, he's equal to probably anybody that's played in the halves. The play that I love was when Isaiah Yeo had a crack at the line, then Cleary had a crack at the line, and then Luai goes, my turn, and he goes out, and the try got taken off him because I went across and Truva scores in the corner. But, like, the big players want the moments. They got so many players that can stand up. So, mate, Isaiah Yeo, 6'5", goes through the middles like he's so powerful. He's got a running game, passing game. He gets stopped. And just their wave. So, plan A, plan B, then they got plan C. And it's good that two heavyweights are going to take each other on, because if they played anybody else, you just tick Penrith will win. And if Melbourne were playing anybody else, you go, well, Melbourne are going to win. But when they're both together, I don't know. I don't know who's going to win next week. And that's the greatest thing that you can probably say about a grand final. The two heavyweights are going. They both got their positives and they got their negatives. And the best side on the day.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Gordon. I think if Penrith play at their best and Melbourne play at their best, like, we're in for a hell of a game, and it's so difficult to split. It will likely come down, Gordon, you mentioned it, about one particular moment. That's what it will come down to. It's got all the ingredients for a classic. I've got Penrith just slightly ahead based off the fact that the last time they played each other in round 24, although the Storm came away with the victory, I thought Penrith were the better side that day. Controversial try from no obstruction on Nathan Cleary, and then that controversial penalty at the end. I watched that game live. I thought Penrith were the better team. So I've just got them slightly in front. And obviously,
well,
with
Jimmy, isn't that dangerous that they were the better team and Melbourne won?
It is. It is dangerous, Gordy.
So just imagine if Melbourne were the better team.
Yeah.
I saw Hoops Melbourne on Friday. We were calling it down there. They're unbelievable to watch live. The ball movement, the speed. We could get to next week, and if they do the job, we're going to go, you know what, this Melbourne Storm team, we didn't see it, but they were the best team from day one. They've been the best team from day one this year. They beat Penrith round 1, 8-0 when they grinded them out, and they've been setting the trends ever since. We've kind of underrated them, haven't we?
Well, in all likelihood, Jerome Hughes will win the Dally M medal on Wednesday night. But what's really impressed me over the course of the final series so far is Cameron Munster and the way that in big games, similar to Nathan Cleary, Joey and Wally Lewis back in the day, the bigger the game, the better they go. They love those moments. They love those occasions. And I get the feeling as though these playmakers, they're in such rare form at the moment, that they can do something special on Sunday. Have we underrated them? Well, they've been the best side all season, but I think at stages, we probably have, because they don't have a Cameron Smith and they don't have a Billy Slater anymore, and Cooper Cronk's no longer there. So maybe we didn't quite give them the respect they deserve, but they've certainly proven everybody wrong now.
All right, two big things going into the game. Nelson, we'll get to him in a second if he's any chance of getting a downgrade or a double downgrade. Nathan Cleary, this is what he said about his shoulder injury at the end of last night's game.
How's your shoulder going?
Yeah, it's all good. Just a little knock at the end, but ended up playing out the next two sets and felt fine, so all sweet. It was always going to be one of those things that, it probably wasn't amazing, like 100%, but definitely felt confident in it to go out on the field and play. And again, like tonight was fine, like I wasn't even thinking about it. And then even after that little incident, played the next two sets and was sweet.
Well, in his last two games, he's not played like he's carrying a shoulder injury, which you can forgive some players in that situation would. He's recognising if Mitch Kenny jumps out of dummy half, he's the one to hit the hole. He's not sitting back and waiting for someone else to assume that role. He's going in and taking those tough runs, looking to get in behind the ruck, knowing he's going to get, because he'd turn and come in behind the ruck almost. He exposes himself by running those tight lines to a defender that he can't see and difficult to brace for impact. He's done that in his previous two games, so there's been no signs for me other than the tackle yesterday, and he sort of just winced a little bit. He'll be fine. If he applies himself how he has done the previous 2 weeks, he's going to have a strong performance for the Penrith Panthers, not much to worry about.
I think he'll play, no question whatsoever. Where it'll get interesting is, I'm sure Mal Meninga wants to pick him for Australia. and the Kangaroos side will be announced after the grand final at the Kangaroos reunion on that Monday. That'll be where it gets interesting because it is clear that his body, he has had a tough season.
Well, I reckon it's more, do Melbourne fall into the trap of targeting him? They did that with Cronk against the Roosters in that grand final a few years ago. And you speak to people in the Melbourne organisation, they go, we focused too much on Cooper Cronk's shoulder injury.
Yep.
Will they fall into that trap again? Or just because it didn't work previously doesn't mean it won't work again, because he is such an important player for this Penrith Panthers outfit. How much traffic, how much extra attention will they put Nathan, or more traffic will they send to Nathan Cleary?
This is where it's such an epic game, Gordy, because the battle of the halves, the fullbacks, it's State of Origin-esque, this grand final. When you look at those two sides on paper, there are international and State of Origin stars everywhere, Gordon.
Yeah, look, and Nathan, and then I thought he was going to be a target, and in the first final I thought, well, Crichton's been in like rare air, as Dan said before. Like, he's been the best back row, he's big, he's dominant. Like the Origin series, I'm thinking, well, he's going to go at Nathan, and Nathan handled it, right? And so did Liam Martin. He's got a great protector there in Liam Martin that probably got a bit injured too, but Nathan Cleary will just go out there and do his job. I think he's too hard to get to. I think Nathan's too hard. You will... just a plan, and he's too smart, and he'll be in and out, and he's a great defender. So I don't think that'll happen, but it's just the heavyweights, isn't it? You got Harry, Hughes and Munster up against, Yeo, Cleary. Probably they got Edwards and Luai, but Pappenhausen as well. So there's some heavyweight battles, but I don't think you can isolate someone. And if you can, Melbourne are very good at it, and Melbourne will make him do extra, but it's silly to isolate one person.
Nelson Asfa Solomon, grade 3. Now, Hoops, you've been to a million of these judiciary hearings. I've never heard of this. Someone's going to try not to beat the charge, but to go for the double downgrade. That is, get it from grade 3 to grade 2 and grade 2 to grade 1. The reason, if grade 2 is no good to him, he would still miss the grand final. Is he any chance?
I think he's an outside chance. I do, because watching some vision this morning, there was an incident where he was charged with a grade 1 incident earlier in the season where he actually ended up, I think he busted Munster's nose and ended up putting one on Ryan Pappenhausen as well in the play. But it was very similar, the level of dangerous contact, and they will try and use that as a comparable. That was a grade 1. Now this time they've hit him with the grade 3 out of Friday night. I think they have got a reasonable case, but in recent times at Judiciary Headquarters, we haven't seen a lot of players exonerated. Felice Kafusi was rightfully exonerated only a month ago leading into the finals. That was the correct decision at the time. I don't think Nelson's without hope. I hope he gets off given the magnitude of this game. And people go, you can't say that. You can, right? Because he's worked.
Come early, Hoops.
He's worked all season, right, to try and give himself every chance of playing in this game, in this moment. And to have that taken away, yes, it was a bad incident with Lindsay Collins. I thought they both contributed to it. I think they'll try and argue that there was another Melbourne Storm defender as well who was coming in that meant that Nelson's chest ended up a little more upright than what it normally might have been. So we'll see how it all unfolds Tuesday night.
Gordy, Lindsay Collins has an interesting running style. He seems to get picked off a lot. He's a tough bugger. Is there a bit of Martin Lang about the way he runs?
Yeah, like a little bit. Like he sort of lowers his target and tries to get, the bumpers up, to win the collision and fall on his front. Like there's a bit. And, I always say that the ball carrier has to be protected, but sometimes you've got to protect yourself. That's with someone flying out. But if he's standing there, I think Nelson's arm was even behind his teammate.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So he tucked, so he didn't. Anyway, it's a tough one. If I'm on the judiciary, Nelson gets off.
Look, I don't want to see Nelson miss the grand final. No one wants to see that. But when I was watching it, didn't have the commentary on, I thought he could go here.
Oh, so did I. You know what?
I thought he was going to go.
I thought this was Gordy. Honestly, shades of Reece Walsh and
sent off because it was bad, or sent off because what the game is cracking down.
Yes.
Well, go. I think if Lindsay Collins stays down,
yeah,
he goes off.
But you knew at that moment, Jimmy, Collins was out of the game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah.
So I thought, honestly, they could pull the trigger, right or wrong.
And I'm not advocating that he should have been sent off. I just thought I thought it was going to be very close, very, very close, and I wouldn't have been surprised had he been.
You're the latest player. If you're Lindsay Collins, are you filthy at the defender? Do you think he should miss a game for that tackle?
Look, as a player, I accept the fact that I play a dangerous sport, and part of the attraction to playing the sport is the element of danger. I don't want to be on the receiving end of another one of them. Like they're not fun positions to be in. Interesting to hear.
So you say he should miss a game, basically.
Should he be suspended? Yeah. Should he miss a grand final? No. But should that carry a weight of suspension? I think yes. And even on the send-off, it was interesting to hear Coach Robinson after the game sort of just really want to shut that down, implying that I think he felt Nelson should have been sent off. Take you back to that game against the Bulldogs. The Roosters played where Dominic Young flies out the line and he gets sent off. And Coach Robinson, incredibly intelligent, measured coach, said, look, that's fine, we'll accept that. If that's what we have now as the standard for a send-off, that shoulder contact to the head that causes a Category 1, I think I really would have liked to hear Coach Robinson go into that, what he actually thought, instead of reserving himself. But I think by reserving
Robbo didn't
himself,
want to be seen as a whinger.
Well, yeah, exactly. Very measured.
Because he's had some whacks in the past, and he comes off occasionally, as a losing coach does as a whinger. And I think, Hoops, he was just he wanted to be magnanimous because they were thumped. And he did the right thing, and they were very respectful to Melbourne at the end.
Yeah, he was being diplomatic, no question. But you could see that, and when you reference that incident that you just went over, they are comparable.
And look, maybe it's time for the NRL to look at how suspensions are carried out in the finals, because
you're getting into dangerous territory.
I know, Hoops, I know, but we're getting into territory where we're going to get, Billy Slater had to fight that cause a couple of years.
Charge, he got off.
He should never have had to do that. Like
Cameron Smith missed the grand final.
That should never.
It actually robbed every fan.
Yeah, it does. And we've got the two best teams in the grand final. You want, obviously, every healthy player to be out there. And I know it's dangerous, Hoops, but what's the lesser of two evils?
Well, does it happen from memory in horse racing? If they're in a big carnival and they get suspended in a big race, it gets suspended until after the carnival?
At times, yes. At times, and Gordon, you're right.
Jockey gets the choice.
Yeah, I mean, so, yeah. And then, like, when it's a big, when it comes to finals, and I don't know. Because I'd love Nelson to play.
Yeah, I think we all would, but
I don't think he deserves to lose because of the magnitude of the game. He had a checkered start to the season. There was talk that, Melbourne and he weren't on the same page, and he's turned it around. And, but if he does the crime, he's, but I wouldn't suspend him. I actually wouldn't suspend him.
Can I bookmark this for later? And I'm putting my head in the lion's mouth. I think that tackle is going to signal the end of the kickoff as we know it. I know, listen, let's not have that argument now.
Don't you jump into
They're going to change it, Gordy. I've told you all year they're going to change it because they're sick of seeing that. They're sick of seeing Moses Sully get knocked out or the carnage in the Manly Roosters game.
Get better technique. Don't sit there at training, right, and do the waltz and the grab.
They can't carry on like they're worried about concussion and not do anything about it.
Can you offer
part of the game, right? And then this is what, and I sit there on 360 and I sit there and people, if you take away the big guy's presence, if you take away our armour, right? So you tell Tabuai Fidow that he can only run at a certain speed when a fat bloke's chasing him.
Yeah.
I mean, hold on, Nathan. You can't kick 40-20s, mate, because that's your skill level. But if we don't have it, and we bring intimidation, and we bring the presence, and we bring the power, and we bring that hard charge, and sometimes it goes wrong. Like a halfback throws an intercept. And if we don't accept that, Dan, the game's changed forever.
Well, look, how many bad ones have we had off the kickoff this year? 3?
There's been 3.
And it's been part of the game since 1908.
And also, let's look at the incident, right? Lindsay Collins clearly should not play any further part in that game. 20 years ago, he's off smelling salts,
back
He
on.
would've
and he
been back
comes
on.
back on.
Yeah.
So the game has taken steps,
Significant steps.
significant steps to ensure that doesn't happen again. So I respect the fact that there's an element of we've got to look to provide a safer environment for players. But in terms of the kickoff, what's the alternative to replace it with? Go back to the Manly game. There was an incident off the kickoff involving the defender.
Yeah.
And then the next play, which is a restart play, again, the defender gets it wrong. Jakey Trbojevic. So you change it to a restart, and things can still go horribly wrong.
I don't want it to go either. I just think, Herbs,
Dan,
I
That's a
know where
fair-
the NRL
yeah.
is going to go
Dan.
on this.
I get.
Okay, cool, right. So that's 50 metres. So 40-20. So when they do a long kick downfield, that can't happen too.
You can't
because
get
there's so-
concussed off a long kick downfield, Gordy, or a 40-20.
Okay, because you can't. Right, so what about when Melbourne Storm bombed Brent Stewart in the grand final?
Did they get him high? That was a great
Hammer.
tackle.
There you go, Dan. So that means all long kicks have got to get out, because that means the player standing there, he's going to get isolated and you can come and hit him. And that'll be the new one.
I get where you're coming from, Dan, but I don't think it'll get to that point.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I hope you're right.
Dan, the lion's mouth is really hungry.
Triple M. We haven't even got to Kevin Walters yet. We haven't even started on this show. Triple M, we will deal with that. And I'm the fill-in guy, but I've got to say, I was blown away by the stuff that was put in the paper yesterday. There's some disgraceful leaking going on up there. Anyway, Ben Dobbin will join us after this, the man with the broken neck. He tells his story. It's not exclusive because he seems to have told it to a lot of people, but he's going to tell it right here on the Sunday Sin Bin.
Shut up! The foot is on Triple M! This is the Triple M Sunday Sin Bin. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. PROSPA.
Well, the hottest of hot party you've ever seen. Ream comes on steady, hot and strong. It just keeps on and on.
Ream's been proudly manufacturing here in Australia for over 80 years.
Install a Ream. Install a Ream.
So ask your plumber for Ream, Australia's #1.
Give yourself a holiday boost with up to 10% off your next break when you book direct at choicehotels.com. Boost your well-being, boost your energy, boost your happiness. Whether you're craving a coastal road trip or rainforest adventure, Choice Hotels has over 170 locations across Australia and New Zealand. Plus, you'll get the lowest price guaranteed when you book direct at choicehotels.com. So go ahead, book it with Choice Hotels. T's and C's apply. See choicehotels.com for full details.
Ready to kick goals on and off the field? You need Employment Hero. From hired to retired, it automates all the pesky parts of HR, recruitment and payroll. Plus, it comes with Smart Match, an AI recruitment tool that matches you with top candidates instantly. Imagine never having to search for people or post a job ad again. Join the 300,000 businesses using Employment Hero to tackle employment admin and get your business back in the game. Search Employment Hero today. It's employment solved.
Hey, there he is. How's dad life?
Phil, I'm so tired, but it's the best.
All settled in with everything?
Yeah, pretty much. Switched my super over to Seabus too.
What's that got to do with your kid?
Oh, well, I really got to make sure this hard work pays off now. You know.
True.
Seabus Super, making hard work pay off since 1984. To consider if Seabus is right for you, go to cbussuper.com.au for PDS and TMD. Past performance is not a reliable indicator of future performance.
When it comes to Sydney's freshest produce, Paddy's Markets, Haymarket and Flemington are Sydney's home of fresh food. Our traders only offer premium in-season produce, plus the freshest seafood, farm-sourced meats and poultry, plus a full international selection of premium deli goods. Make a visit to Paddy's this week and talk to a trader about what's in season and fresh today. Paddy's, home to Sydney's freshest food at value prices. Visit paddysmarkets.com.au.
Do you require professional help with a legal matter? At Bryden's Lawyers, our dedicated team are here to help you with all your legal needs. Whether you're dealing with a personal injury claim, family law matter, or property dispute, the experts at Bryden's Lawyers have the knowledge and experience to guide you through the process and put your mind at ease. Call Bryden's Lawyers today at 1800 848 848 or visit brydens.com.au. Bryden's Lawyers, who helps you in your time of need? We do.
Just like footy, when it comes to business, having the right team makes all the difference. And when you've got Prosper on your side, it's game on. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. They offer funding solutions up to $500,000. Enjoy an easy online application with funding possible within hours. Take control of your cash flow. Get Prosper on your team today at prosper.com. That's PROSPA. T's and C's and standard credit criteria apply.
Shut up! The foot is on Triple M! This is the Triple M Sunday Sin Bin. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. PROSPA.
Yes, indeed. Usual crew, Gorden Tallis, Jimmy Graham, James Hooper. Different host today, and a very good reason as we do it for Prosper, Australia's #1 online lender to small business. Visit prosper.com. And coming up, the toughest play segment for Mitsubishi Triton. I got a weird text, Hoops, during the week. Dan, can you host on Sunday? And I've gone, what's up? Dobbo broke his neck. And I thought, what? I thought, oh, hang on, there's a bit of mustard's been put on this. What's going on?
There's no mayonnaise.
This
there's
is an
no
unbelievable.
Wasabi. This is actually genuine. So the big fella, look, there's a little bit to unpack, and we are going to speak to him later in the program. But the big fella, I wasn't aware, he's actually got a cycling coach. So he and the cycling coach were on a ride from Redcliffe into the hinterland area up there at the back of Brisbane, and a big red belly black snake's gone across the track that they were cycling on, and Dobbo swerved to avoid it. And as he's done that, he's clipped the wheel of the coach in front of him, and then he's gone smash bang into a steel fence. So we are thinking of him. He's he's
on the line.
Hugely important part of this program, and yeah, we all love you, big fella. We hope you're recovering.
I hope you appreciate, Dobbo, how sincere that actually was from Hoops. I know it's tough for these boys to show genuine affection, but Dobbo, there's a lot of concern for you, mate. How are you?
Dan, those three have been agitating to have you host all year, and for them to have to plant a snake on a bicycle track, to have me have this accident, it is the lowest of low. I'm disgusted that it's got to this point. I mean, I understand it. They've been agitating for you, Dan, all year, but this is the lowest of low, mate.
Well, Dobbo, it was only $7 each because a fake snake cost us $21 over in the bushes. Well, mate, listen, and then when I heard, I thought, what happened to Humpty Dumpty? But I thought I was listening to the Golden Books, reading another book.
You couldn't script what happened on Wednesday, and Hoops, I appreciate your words, and to all of you, all four of you have reached out via text, and Chicker as well have been unbelievable. But mate, I swerved the bloody red belly black snake. I thought I was doing the right thing. Then I next to hit a post. Then I broke my neck, and I've literally broken my C6 in my neck. I was operated on Thursday night. The worst part of it was they thought I was going to lose my voice. That was so. I mean, you could have got in regardless, Dan. And
so like they went through the front, Dobbo. So basically, like they went through the front, move your voice box, and that's when, like, once they move your voice box, you can sound like Darren Lockyer or Gary Larson.
Well, Gordy, that's the same operation, and you were good enough, Gordy, because you've actually been through that. That's exactly what happened. They operated through my throat, and from there, they've repaired and fused the spinal, both the vertebrae, and then they've put a cage around my spinal cord. And so, I mean, I'm bloody lucky, boys.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have some fun.
And what
over
about
a
pins
long
and
period of
needles?
time.
So, like, then when you did it, like, did you land? So, like, was it flush? Because, like, when I heard the news, I'm thinking I'm going to see bark off you everywhere, right? Like, when you have like a bike injury, I thought, mate, there'd be gravel rash everywhere. But
nothing.
There doesn't seem to be anything. So it was just bang head on.
I had a helmet on. It hit me flush on the head, and I have not got any bark off me but a bit of gravel on one of my elbows. and I got pins and needles in my left hand. I couldn't feel my left hand.
And it's come back?
It's come back. I can walk. Today I walked 4 laps of the hospital without any assistance. So, I mean, that's how,
news,
and
yeah.
like, that's how quickly it is. So, and that's, look, I mean, I've been pretty, I know we joke a lot about it. It rocked me a fair bit in the last couple of days. But I just thought of all these blokes to go and find a bloody snake to try and get down in there.
It was fake, mate. It was fake.
Now, have you called a current affair in to document this recovery, Dobbo?
We're doing an expose.
I mean, I got to say, Dobbo, it's an impressive tour you've gone on since. I mean, we're all genuinely two things can be true. We are really feeling for you because that's a brutal injury, but you're milking the shit out of this. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. You are getting
100%.
maximum value out of this.
Hey, Dan, I want a new contract, mate, out of this.
Well, Dobbo, Dan's right. There can be two things can be true. We are very concerned, and we've all reached out, and we do wish you all the best, and we're very pleased to hear that there's a speedy recovery. But there's a few things that we've got to point out, and some of these quotes. Do
you want some help here?
I think I need a bit, Dan. So
go.
The neurosurgeon had to operate through my throat, and said there was a risk I'd lose my voice. He said, I told him, that's my career, and he said, my priority is to save you from being in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. He said, most people who have this type of injury don't ever walk again. I don't know how long I'll be in hospital for. They haven't told me, he said. It's been agony, but it's more the mental side of things that's harder to deal with, if I'm honest. Dobbo.
Yeah.
Those quotes aside, there's some photographs as well.
Yeah, can we just confirm or deny? Was there a professional photographer that's come in and taken a photo for Buzz's column? Is that,
mate? That my wife took that photo of me because she wanted to document it. She said because of the mark on my head, she said, I want you to smile or send it to your kids. And somehow Buzz's got his hands on it.
No, there's another photo.
There's another photo.
One that's a Nikon $5,000 job.
Come in. How did you get the photo?
Photo supplied. So somehow they've got it. You've sent it to them. It's actually in the paper. Supplied.
No, that is not true. I have not sent Buzz Rockfield that photo.
It's supplied.
Yeah, anyway, I'm not getting into how that got leaked. Somebody leaked it, and I'm finding out. He knows who he is. The person who leaked it to Buzz knows exactly who it is.
Now, Dobbo, how convinced are you that it's one of the exes that planted the snake?
Well, there's only one that could have, but I don't think she's that nasty.
All right, okay. I'm just thinking that Mother's Day message. I think there's going to be. There deserves to be retired.
It's come back to haunt me. It's come back to haunt me.
I'm going to ask you one serious question. How many millimetres, centimetres were you from being seriously confined to a chair?
Oh, Dan, not beyond. I can't. Less than a centimetre. It was so close. It wasn't funny. It was like, and Gordon's had the same injury. He understood the severity of it. It shattered the vertebrae, and then some of the bone dug into the spinal cord, and that's what was the threat, and was pushed on the nerve. And like the doctor, in all seriousness, said, because I said to him, "Oh, thanks for saving my voice." He said, "Mate, we didn't think we could save you from being in a chair, so you just that's a serious."
Dobbo, did they put in bone from your hip, or do they use cow bone, or what did they put in there?
They've put up they've got their that artificial stuff. They've caged it with an artificial bone around it, so it's done. But I'm just lucky. I'm happy. I mean, all 4 of you reached out this week, and it meant a lot. It's been a really tough couple of days, but guess what? I'll be back next week, boys. You mark my words. I'm going to be back next week.
Not allowed to fly with the Dobbo for 6 weeks. Because of the swelling. Not allowed to fly with it for 6 weeks because of the swelling.
Just watch this space. There's a thing called a driver. I'm getting a professional driver.
How rich are you, Dobbo? I mean, we've got cycling coaches. Now you're getting a professional
There's
driver.
a lot of GST on a cycling coach. He's a mate of mine who rides with me to keep me company. That's it. And thank God he was there. So we don't have any cycling coaches. But it was as I woke up, it's an interesting scenario, and I know you're going to get into it, but I walk in, and Amity says to me as I walk back wheel back into the my room. She says, "There's some really good news and there's some really devastating news." And I'm like,
"Oh no,
what's happened?" And she said, "Well, they've saved your voice." And she said, "But the devastating news is that the Broncos done a proper hatchet job on Kevy Walters and sacked him while you were literally on the operating table. And I'm like, you're kidding. And you know what? I know you're going to talk about it, but that night, Kevin Walters texted me to see how I was after he'd been absolutely shafted and texted me to see how, that's the measure of a bloke. He texted me that night, 11:19 that night. So, I mean, there's a lot you guys are going to unpack on that. But even in the worst time of his life, he's still ringing up people to check on if they're all right, like, you know, which speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, I'll let you go. The voice is getting a bit tired there, Dobbo, but if you want to be here
I don't think
next
it'll be
week...
ready for next week, Dobbo.
No.
Mate, we're really enjoying Dan.
No, I'm backing him in. I reckon the big fella's making a comeback next week. He'll get
He's
a drive
sweating
at
chocolate bullets as we
First
speak.
half hour went well. I'm predicting he'll absolutely be back next week.
Mate, if he has
See you
to,
later.
I tell you what, that bike coach will be riding him.
Whoever's driving and go over some speed bumps, will you?
See you, Dobbo.
See you guys.
See you, mate.
There we go.
See you, mate.
God bless him, Dobbo. I didn't know it was that close.
No, yeah, Dan.
He's very
Dan,
lucky.
He is,
and the
he is.
centimetres would have been millimetres, so
Yeah.
he made a mistake there because, so.
Well, if
it's,
he's saying bone went into spinal cord, I mean, that is...
Yes, so like
he's-
it would have pushed forward and then
Oh.
they take it out, and then my options, I don't think the synthetic or the disc was around. It was either cow bone from Germany for me or my own bone from my body. So
All right, listen, you've all been waiting for it, listening. Reaction to Kevin Walters getting the Bulldogs Broncos coach. That's coming up right after this. Sunday Sin Bin. We do it for Prosper, and you can listen to us on the Listener app, and we will be doing the women's semis after this game. So it's footy all day here on Triple M.
Shut up! The foot is on Triple M! This is the Triple M Sunday Sin Bin. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. PROSPA.
Cut through the background blah to hear more of the sounds you want to hear with Specsaver's advanced hearing technology.
Steps through, parts the seas. It's a try!
Book a hearing appointment with our audiology professionals for high-definition sound at low Specsavers prices.
It's one of the best tries you'll ever see.
Always follow the directions for use. That's right, buddy. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries is Australia's most independently awarded air conditioner brand. And this year, they're proudly celebrating 25 years of designing quality products with unrivaled reliability, superior performance, and cutting-edge technology. So it comes as no surprise that they have the highest levels of customer satisfaction. I think what you're trying to say is, put your trust in Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, the experts in air.
For the hottest of hot water you've ever seen. Ream comes on steady, hot and strong. It just keeps on and on.
Ream's been proudly manufacturing here in Australia for over 80 years.
Install a Ream. Install a Ream.
So ask your plumber for Ream, Australia's #1.
Give yourself a holiday boost with up to 10% off your next break when you book direct at choicehotels.com. Boost your well-being, boost your energy, boost your happiness. Whether you're craving a coastal road trip or rainforest adventure, Choice Hotels has over 170 locations across Australia and New Zealand. Plus, you'll get the lowest price guaranteed when you book direct at choicehotels.com. So go ahead, book it with Choice Hotels. T's and C's apply. See choicehotels.com for full details.
Ready to kick goals on and off the field? You need Employment Hero. From hired to retired, it automates all the pesky parts of HR, recruitment and payroll. Plus, it comes with Smart Match, an AI recruitment tool that matches you with top candidates instantly. Imagine never having to search for people or post a job ad again. Join the 300,000 businesses using Employment Hero to tackle employment admin and get your business back in the game. Search Employment Hero today. It's employment solved.
Hey, there he is. How's dad life?
Phil, I'm so tired, but it's the best.
All settled in with everything?
Yeah, pretty much. Switched my super over to C-Bus too.
What's that got to do with your kid?
Oh, well, I really got to make sure this hard work pays off now. You know, true.
Cbus Super, making hard work pay off since 1984. To consider if Cbus is right for you, go to cbussuper.com.au for PDS and TMD. Past performance is not a reliable indicator of future performance.
When it comes to Sydney's freshest produce, Paddy's Markets, Haymarket and Flemington are Sydney's home of fresh food. Our traders only offer premium in-season produce, plus the freshest seafood, farm-sourced meats and poultry, plus a full international selection of premium deli goods. Make a visit to Paddy's this week and talk to a trader about what's in season and fresh today. Paddy's, home to Sydney's freshest food at value prices. Visit paddy'smarket.com.au.
Shut up! The foot is on Triple M!
This is the Triple M Sunday Sin Bin. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. PROSPA.
We're at that sad time of year. We're all excited for the grand final, but then you realise there's only one match left, although there's some women's games coming today. Broncos Sharks, as soon as we're done, into Roosters Knights, and we'll be covering both those games here. Winners will play in the women's grand final next week. Saturday show as normal. You boys are on Sunday. I'm guessing Dobbo will be back, and then we're calling some of the games leading into the big one between Melbourne and Penrith. You've got Jimmy Graham, Gorden Tallis, James Hooper. Before we get to opinions, Hoops, the timing of the Kevin Walters axing, it sort of came out of nowhere, but then again it didn't. I thought very strategically dropped Thursday, not just after the 6 p.m. news, but after 360 on Fox. I thought they deliberately did that just after 8 o'clock to make sure no one could react live.
Yeah, I think it's been a witch hunt and a hatchet job that's been 6 to 8 weeks in the making, Dan. So I don't think anybody's buying the fairy tale that they just all of a sudden did a review last week and then the conclusion was reached on Wednesday where they decided to part ways with Kevy. The Broncos chairman, Carl Morris, has been openly telling people that Kevy was in all likelihood going to be sacked for the last couple of months. So he was overseas on holidays in Greece, and I know for a fact that he was definitely telling people that Kevy was in all likelihood going to be gone. So I don't like the way that it's been handled. I don't like the way that Kevy was forced in front of the cameras on Thursday, and I thought Dave Donaghy came across as insincere. He's just knifed the bloke, yet then he's going to stand there and pretend that he's going to support him. So I think it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
Gordy?
My first reaction, I was shocked. I was sitting at the airport. We finished 360, and I'm there, and then my phone lit up, and it lit up like 20. And is it true? And then Chicka White texted me on in our group chat, and I was shocked. So I rang and spoke to Kevin. He goes, "Yeah, mate, it's true." And I said, "Well," and I had a quick chat, and he seemed to be in a really good headspace. And then the next day, myself and my wife went and had lunch on the Friday, and then I popped around his place, and I think it's a weight lifted off his shoulders. I don't think he ever felt like he got the support that he wanted. From day one, he had to go buy his own shirt to do his own press conference. And I felt like that, he was doing it all alone. But he said he's really proud that he got to captain the club, so proud that he was 3 minutes away of winning one as a coach. And that was his dream. He goes, "Mate, once I played and I won them," he goes, "I just love the club and I wanted to win one as a coach as well." I wouldn't have made the decision. I would have given him the chance to see where the club was at, winning a wooden spoon, which I never ever thought that the Broncos would, to having Matty Middleton, like one of our greatest guys that's ever worked at the organisation, to go out there and pick them all up, and then to turn it around, to be in a grand final, to have a disappointing year this year. It's disappointing, and but I don't think that's enough from where the club was at to be in a grand final in 3 years. I think that's certainly a pass mark in any club, and to have a disappointing year, but to only have your best players play 5 games or 6 games together, I think that's an excuse. And I would have given him, if Broncos aren't going good and it's magic round, I get it. I just think it's a little bit premature.
Not just before getting to a grand final, Gord, it was the nature of that grand final as well. Like they played close. Like one of the contributed to arguably the best ever grand final. Some would argue, the 15 grand final, which Broncos were a part of as well. But for me, as a spectator, it was a magnificent contest, and all the teams have got to grand finals and fell off a cliff. but they didn't play anywhere near the way that the Broncos did and got so close. I thought that personally, that would have given him a little bit more runway, especially when you factor in the number of key injuries to key players this season. You can make a case that they didn't replace Flagler or Farnworth, but then that's the price of success that Brisbane have ultimately paid. And for Kevy, he must be bitterly disappointed because we know him primarily through Gordon, who speaks about the passion for the club and the person that he is and how much he cares. And there's ultimately he's paid the price for that. But I think most people in the game of rugby league sort of accepted, yes, it's a disappointing season, but we'll wait and see what happens next year. He's going to have an off season with them, and then Judgment Day will come round 12 next year. I think that's what everybody just assumed would happen.
And this is one thing, the reverse engineering of what do they call it when they go in there and they go and interview everybody?
A review.
It's a sham. We all agree it's a sham review. The result wasn't it a premeditated result?
You get a guy from New Zealand that knows nothing about rugby league going in there. So let me put this scenario there, right? There's 30 kids in a classroom. All the kids that get C's, are they going to point the finger at themselves or the teacher? So no one. And then I've rang some real powerful guys in our game to talk about reviews and guys that have done reviews at clubs and all that. And basically they say it's a coward's way because the CEO and the chairman don't want to make the decision.
Now, they've got isn't it true, Hoops? And every word in here might be correct. I have no idea. But the whole point of a review in this scenario was to justify the result they already had in mind.
Yes.
That's right. But is it on the whole club? Is it on the CEO? Is it on the recruitment? Is it on, the board, whether they're making the right decisions? That's a proper review, not just on the coach. Wayne Bennett, right, who is still coaching at 75. You get one of the proudest clubs in history, still think that he's got a job to do. Everybody said he's done a great job at the Dolphins. They sacked him. Anthony Seabolt, right? Some of the old boys, I was vocal. I didn't like the way he was coaching. I didn't think that they were reacting. They got a wooden spoon, right? But he's gone to Manly, right? Now, Kevy, so if it keeps on being the coaches, they're going to sack this next coach, which is Madge, by the way, because I was talking to him in August. So so something needs to change at the organisation.
But this is where I'm saying, Gordy, the review is clearly just a facade they had already made this decision. So
absolutely.
I think it's Carl Morris who's the chairman. I think it's Dave Donaghy who's the CEO. And they've clearly done a lot of background due diligence. They're in there every day and they had made the decision. Then they've just gone through the process of the review to tick all the boxes and make sure that everything looks as though it's got a bow on it. But I think it's actually come across as the opposite.
So then what happens in the next 6 or 8 weeks if something happens, they just keep on leaking what the review did.
And this is what I hate, Gordy. This is what I hate.
Happen,
they did this to John Morris at the Sharks, I remember. I remember they did this where you sack a bloke, you're entitled to do it, all right? It's your club. Pay him out, thank him for his time, right? But then to scorch the earth, I mean, the stuff they've leaked here, the Broncos, ensures that Kevin Walters will never get a coaching job again. He'll never get a head coaching job again because of the savage stuff that's been put in here.
And he's too nice to talk about everything that he knows.
And again, I have no idea if it's right or not, but there's no need to scorch the earth on a club legend when you've already sacked him. He's going to get hopefully he'll be at Fox.
But for me, he should be angry. Like he should be blowing up at people after that. Like
he's not that sort of guy, mate.
But you should be. You should be pissed off.
Just imagine if he went and he unloaded on them and just went to a journalist and said, "This is what I know."
And Hoops, you're right. Wednesday night they sack him. Thursday they have the press conference, and then Friday it comes from the Broncos. These leaks that Peter Bedell wrote in the Courier Mail, and also on Friday it is revealed that Madge has sat down with them. Well, that's convenient. They only sacked the bloke 36 hours earlier, and they've already sat down with Michael Maguire.
Yeah,
is Michael Maguire going to be a good coach for them? Is he, Gordy? I know it hurts to talk about Kevy getting the bullet, but is Madge the coach, the sort of coach they need?
Do a review on him at South and the Tigers. Then you'd have your answer. I don't know.
The only thing I don't like about Madge.
But listen, this is this is one thing that I do know. Coaching New South Wales against Queensland without Flegler, Gilbert and Munster. And coaching State of Origin, I know because I got coached by Wayne Bennett about 170-odd games. Wayne Bennett coaching me at the Broncos, they're coaching me in State of Origin. They're two different coaches. Wayne Bennett coaching me at Australia, like a rep coach is not it's not a club coach.
It's a huge job.
It's massive.
It's a huge job, and sometimes, you know, we hear, oh, well, maybe they say he's the best candidate for the job, but sometimes the person doesn't fit it. I'm an Everton fan,
the best
right?
candidate has been sacked by his last two clubs.
I'm an Everton fan. They bought in Rafa Benitez,
whoever that is.
And
it sounds like an ice cream.
Right.
Come on, that's racist, mate. Come on.
No,
Right.
hey, listen, I don't know. He just sounds like an ice cream.
Well, they used to call him a fat Spanish waiter, the Everton fans, when he was coaching Liverpool. He's just a fat Spanish waiter, right? And he had a history of coaching Liverpool, won them a Champions League, won Valencia a league, won them a Champions League. He gets the Everton job, and literally fans were like, absolutely not. They hung a banner outside his house and said, "We know where you live. Don't sign." But the owners signed him anyway. First month went really well, got manager of the month, and then it plummeted. He didn't see the season out. As an actual manager in terms of credentials, it ticked all the boxes. It was amazing. Champions League winner in multiple clubs, far better than anyone on paper that Everton had in a long, long time. But the person didn't fit. Sport and business, they can cross over. And when you've got people that are used to business, they can make these business decisions. And there is a fair bit of crossover. But with sport, it's emotional and it's passionate and it's about people. And you've got to have that right. Sometimes the best candidate on paper isn't necessarily the best person for that job at that particular time. Now, I'm not saying Madge will do a bad job, but there are certain things going against them. New South Wales, Queensland, etc., etc.
That's the other thing that's going to leave.
Listen, and just one more thing. I'm going to call BS on everybody who says old boys, right? I got a job in the media. I'm not an old boy. I work at the Titans. Right? Don't keep on saying, look at the situation, and I'm paid for my comment. Don't keep on, oh, look, the old boys are going to do this. It's not the old boys, right? What it is I'm paid for my opinion, and that's what I give. When I said that, whatever, Tim Sheen should have been sacked at the West Tigers, and that was, no one says anything. When I said Robbo needs to win grand finals or whatever, no one says anything. But because it's the Broncos and I say something, or Wayne Bennett, they say old boys. It's got nothing to do with it. It actually has nothing to do with it.
The other element of this,
talking about a situation in the game that I love, and I'm not a Bronco. I haven't been a Bronco for 20 years.
Yeah, the other element of this, Gordon, that will leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths is Madge signed a 2-year deal to coach the New South Wales Blues with the New South Wales Rugby League. He pushed for that term. He wanted that second season. Now he's had a great success in his opening series, and I know
against the weakened Queensland team.
Yeah, you can only beat who's on the park, Gordon. In fairness, and Suaalii did get sent off in the opening, whatever many minutes it was in game one, but he's done a great job to be able to win the Blues a series, and now all of a sudden the first coaching gig that comes up. He's
never hidden from the fact that he wants to be a club coach.
He hasn't, but it's still right for the legion of New South Wales supporters who believed in Madge and bought into everything that he sold throughout the series. It leaves a bad taste.
And one of those things that he brought to New South Wales was the connection to the past. Now, Gordy, you say, I'm not an old boy, but that's what he did. He recognised the previous contributions of New South Wales players connected to the community, and that was resemblance of their performance. So, and even myself at the Bulldogs, they've connected with their former players to get them on board. So, with roles in the media and former players, it is important to have them on your side, I believe.
People don't like being criticised, even if people don't like being criticised, and they will make decisions to try and keep the criticism away. I'd keep going, but Jimmy talked about soccer for 3 minutes, so we have to take a break now. So I Call BS is coming up right after this. Triple M rocking the Sunday Sin Bin thanks to Prosper.
Shut up! The footy's on Triple M!
This is the Triple M Sunday Sin Bin. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. PROSPA.
Do you require professional help with a legal matter? At Bryden's Lawyers, our dedicated team are here to help you with all your legal needs. Whether you're dealing with a personal injury claim, family law matter, or property dispute, the experts at Bryden's Lawyers have the knowledge and experience to guide you through the process and put your mind at ease. Call Bryden's Lawyers today at 1800 848 848 or visit brydens.com.au. Bryden's Lawyers, who helps you in your time of need? We do.
Just like footy, when it comes to business, having the right team makes all the difference. And when you've got Prosper on your side, it's game on. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. They offer funding solutions up to $500,000. Enjoy an easy online application with funding possible within hours. Take control of your cash flow. Get Prosper on your team today at prosper.com. That's PROSPA. T's and C's and standard credit criteria apply.
Cut through the background blah to hear more of the sounds you want to hear with Specsaver's advanced hearing technology.
Steps through, parts the seas, it's a try!
Book a hearing appointment with our audiology professionals for high-definition sound at low Specsavers prices.
It's one of the best tries you'll ever see.
Always follow the directions for use. That's right, buddy. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries is Australia's most independently awarded air conditioner brand. And this year, they're proudly celebrating 25 years of designing quality products with unrivaled reliability, superior performance, and cutting-edge technology. So it comes as no surprise that they have the highest levels of customer satisfaction. I think what you're trying to say is, put your trust in Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, the experts in air.
For the hottest of hot water you've ever seen. Ream comes on steady, hot and strong. It just keeps on and on.
Ream's been proudly manufacturing here in Australia for over 80 years.
Install a Ream. Install a Ream.
So ask your plumber for Ream, Australia's #1.
Give yourself a holiday boost with up to 10% off your next break when you book direct at choicehotels.com. Boost your well-being, boost your energy, boost your happiness. Whether you're craving a coastal road trip or rainforest adventure, Choice Hotels has over 170 locations across Australia and New Zealand. Plus, you'll get the lowest price guaranteed when you book direct at choicehotels.com. So go ahead, book it with Choice Hotels. T's and C's apply. See choicehotels.com for full details.
Ready to kick goals on and off the field? You need Employment Hero. From hired to retired, it automates all the pesky parts of HR, recruitment and payroll. Plus, it comes with Smart Match, an AI recruitment tool that matches you with top candidates instantly. Imagine never having to search for people or post a job ad again. Join the 300,000 businesses using Employment Hero to tackle employment admin and get your business back in the game. Search Employment Hero today. It's employment solved.
Shut up! The footy's on Triple M!
This is the Triple M Sunday Sin Bin. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. PROSPA.
All right, Triple M here, Sunday Sin Bin until 2, and then off to the women's semi-finals, the NRLW, Brisbane Cronulla at 2, and then Roosters Newcastle 4:15 winners to meet in the big decider. You got James Graham, you got Jimmy Hooper, and you got Gorden Tallis. Let's do this.
From the makers of The Earth is Flat and I'm Only Having One Beer comes I Call BS.
I tell you what, when they asked me to do this show, Hoops, I was excited about this particular segment. This is my favourite part of the show. You can kick us off with I Call BS.
I'm calling BS on this whole Kalen Ponga circus around his unavailability, then availability to wear the green and gold jumper for the Kangaroos. I don't like the optics of it from the get-go. I thought it was really poorly mishandled, the way that they decided to go public, then backflip. And I just think Kalen at times doesn't do himself any favours with some of the people who he lets influence his decisions.
It is an interesting storyline, isn't it? Probably been overshadowed over the events of Thursday, but the backflip on it is bizarre.
Well, has he backflipped though? Like apparently he's backflipped, but then he's still not going to be available if he's selected.
What do you- like a gentleman's agreement with Mal?
Then there was other misinformation that I know he was upset from last year's series where he won the Dally M medal and he didn't get a phone call to say he wasn't in the squad. Like, come on, it's you're representing your country. It's the highest honour in the game. I can't wrap my head around it.
Hey, Hoops, we've made a rod for our own back to try to make State of Origin the pinnacle, right? And this is not against Callum, but guys that aren't born in Australia that want to bleed and wear the baggy green or represent Australia or support the Aussies at the Olympics. So because they keep State of Origin the pinnacle, and that's always been the argument, and you know, great judges, but what about Sonny Bill Williams? What about Sam Burgess? What about James Graham? What about these great players that don't get to play the product? Too bad. I'll lose as a Queenslander. And I think that's what's happened now. I think that's what's happened. People want to pick the Queensland and New South Wales jersey, but don't really want to play for the country. So until they make everybody tier one, if you play for Queensland, you've got to play for Australia. That's what's going to happen. But the race between guys to get, you know, the best Queensland New South Wales team has actually, I think, tarnished it a little bit.
Wasn't Kalen actually too honest? Because isn't this the dark art, the end of season? Players who don't really want to, they want to have a break. They'll have a niggle. But they just won't put out press releases and sort of look selfish in doing so. That's where Kalen made his mistake.
Yeah.
But he's not the first player to pull out of an end-of-season tour. He just did it in a strange way. Jimmy.
My call BS.
Your call BS, please.
You know what? I was going to do the obstruction no try to Taruva. I guess that's a variable you can't control. I want to go back to players slipping. I did the same last week. That is a controllable. That's a controllable variable for what footwear you bring and what boots you pack or what boots your manufacturer are going to provide. It is driving me bonkers seeing players slip over. It just shouldn't be happening at this level with the frequency that it is. The Sharks Penrith game last night, slight drizzle. Not, you know, we spoke about what is to be considered as wet conditions. They weren't that bad, but a number of times players slipped. And I think if you're the coach of either side, you are mandating studded boots, and because it just shouldn't happen.
You're talking about the Tommy Hazelton,
Jimmy?
Well, not just Hazelton. There was a few other incidences, a few people in back play just slipping over at vital times. You're missing opportunities here, and you know, coaches, and maybe rightly so, will complain about, you know, the obstruction rule. That is the bunker is almost out of your hands, out of your control. But what you can control as a player is what boots you wear. So I'm back again on the slipping over.
Very good, Gordy. Your BS.
Airlines, Dan.
Yes, Jerry Seinfeld.
Airlines, Dan. No, I'm serious, right? Like, from North Queenslanders to whatever, to get to watch their side, it's price gouging. Where's the watchdog to come in, right? Like, let's be honest, right? The fare's $400 and it jumps $600 or $800. Like, where's the consumer watchdog to come in and protect it from like happening? It happens every year, and then we have a whinge about it, and because it doesn't happen until 12 months later, and you know, whether you're from Perth to go to the AFL or rugby league, it affects all Australians, and I think it's totally unfair. Like, I really do.
You know what I noticed? So Swans were probably going to the grand final 2 weeks ago, and we were looking at flights to Melbourne because we went down and called the game, and we noticed Qantas had put on all these extra flights and were charging a mint. The Swans hadn't even made the grand final, and this is what they were going to do. And this is the dark art. Had the Swans lost, they would have cancelled half of those flights and kept the prices the same. So they're putting on all these flights with the... Remember they got in trouble for intentionally selling seats knowing they were going to cancel? There is no way all those flights would have gone ahead. Anyway, Gorden Tallis, Ombudsman. Can I call a BS? Can I play in this game?
We cover some territory, and I call BS.
Katy
We've
Perry
got
at the AFL Grand Final. Katy Perry, I thought she was fine, but I thought it sounded rubbish. Now, that had nothing to do with Katy. I think if they're going to spend all this money, the AFL, right, to pontificate to us and spend all this money on Katy Perry, that's great. Can you get the sound mix right? Because the way they did it, it sounded like no one was interested. And I'm told the 100,000 at the G, we're all into Katy Perry, and she put on a great show like she did at the Super Bowl. But if you're going to spend all this money, can you at least have it sound good on television where most of the people are consuming this?
What they pay
My
for?
5-year-old, right? I said, "Come here and sit and watch this." I thought it was going to be really cool because he likes one of her songs, Fireworks or whatever. She sung it last or whatever. He goes, "That lady can't sing." No, mate, be honest, mate. Like, and you know what? I wish I could. I mean, so I know it sounds funny to me, and I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. It doesn't, because obviously there and the acoustics or whatever, it just didn't come through the screen the way it should have.
Well, you know what the NFL does, right? And we take a lot of our cues from them. They have their broadcast team that does the game, that knows how to do sport, and then they have a separate team that does the concert, because that team knows how to do concerts. I think if the AFL is going to, spend all this money, right, get another broadcast. They've got
Don't get me on that, Dan.
No, don't start me on them. Don't start me on them.
Spending money, right? And then this is my gripe. I'm going to go watch the NRL Grand Final. Okay, Kid Leroy, I hadn't heard of him until he got a photo with some South players. I couldn't tell you one song that he sings. I don't go there to watch him. I go to watch the footy. It's just the bonus, right? That's dessert. If you like it, it comes out and you don't have to eat it all, right? But I'm a rugby league fan. What? Well, mate, I don't go there. I'm not going to buy a ticket to go watch someone mime 5 songs.
Yeah, but if you're in a restaurant and someone plonks a dessert down, you're going to eat it.
No, not really.
You might
if
have
you
a
don't
look,
like it, you don't have to.
You might have a look
That's
at
what I'm saying.
Gotta have a taste.
I go there. Well, what I'm trying to say is I go there for the main meal, mate. I go there to eat a big steak or have the big meal. The last little bit, okay, yeah, it's cool. But it doesn't make my dinner.
What about the dessert? What about the dessert wine list, Gordy? Do you maybe have a little look at that?
Not too bad.
I just remember a Chinese meal about 2 weeks ago, and I don't remember a single thing being left on the table. We're halfway through.
But did we order dessert?
No.
No, because we ordered.
My point. Didn't.
My point.
No, we didn't.
See,
but that
Dan?
was the fact that it was getting late and we wanted to get to the Irish pub.
All right, now we're waffling. We got
Guinness.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back. Second hour on the way. We'll talk about the Sharks and the Roosters. What do they need to do? And has their premiership windows closed? Jimmy's toughest players review and a few other things as well as we get you to some NRLW semi-finals. But right now, here's the news. Sophie Smith.
Thanks, guys. The Panthers will host Melbourne Storm in next week's NRL Grand Final. Penrith securing its 5th straight appearance in the decider after downing Cronulla. Halfback Nathan Cleary has declared himself fit for the clash despite clutching at his left shoulder during the win. In NRLW, the Broncos host the Sharks in week 1 of finals this afternoon. Brisbane will be without Romy Teitzel for the semi, the back rower suffering from a hip issue. Later, the Roosters take on the Knights. Brisbane Lions players celebrated their AFL Premiership win in Melbourne this morning after demolishing Sydney at the MCG. Rain and dark skies not deterring fans at Brunswick Street Oval. The team is headed home this afternoon for more fanfare. Coach Chris Fagan says he doesn't know anything about rumours Joe Danaher is considering retirement. And the Tasmania Jack Jumpers have ended Melbourne United's undefeated start to the NBL season. The reigning premiers rebounding from a round 1 loss to beat the side 81-72 last night. Right now, it's 26 degrees at Totally Workwear Stadium. Mostly sunny afternoon, a top of 27 degrees in Brisbane today, where we're counting down to the Broncos v Sharks as Triple M rocks footy.
Hey, there he is. How's dad life?
Phil, I'm so tired, but it's the best.
All settled in with everything?
Yeah, pretty much. Switched my super over to C-Bus too.
What's that got to do with your kid?
Oh, well, I really got to make sure this hard work pays off now. You know, true.
Cbus Super, making hard work pay off since 1984. To consider if Cbus is right for you, go to cbussuper.com.au for PDS and TMD. Past performance is not a reliable indicator of future performance.
When it comes to Sydney's freshest produce, Paddy's Markets, Haymarket and Flemington are Sydney's home of fresh food. Our traders only offer premium in-season produce, plus the freshest seafood, farm-sourced meats and poultry, plus a full international selection of premium deli goods. Make a visit to Paddy's this week and talk to a trader about what's in season and fresh today. Paddy's, home to Sydney's freshest food at value prices. Visit paddysmarkets.com.au.
Do you require professional help with a legal matter? At Bryden's Lawyers, our dedicated team are here to help you with all your legal needs. Whether you're dealing with a personal injury claim, family law matter, or property dispute, the experts at Bryden's Lawyers have the knowledge and experience to guide you through the process and put your mind at ease. Call Bryden's Lawyers today at 1800 848 848 or visit brydens.com.au. Bryden's Lawyers, who helps you in your time of need? We do.
Just like footy, when it comes to business, having the right team makes all the difference. And when you've got Prosper on your side, it's game on. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. They offer funding solutions up to $500,000. Enjoy an easy online application with funding possible within hours. Take control of your cash flow. Get Prosper on your team today at prosper.com. That's PROSPA. T's and C's and standard credit criteria apply.
Cut through the background blah to hear more of the sounds you want to hear with Specsavers Advanced Hearing Technology.
Steps through, parts the seas, it's a try!
Book a hearing appointment with our audiology professionals for high-definition sound at low Specsavers prices.
It's one of the best tries you'll ever see.
Always follow the directions for use. That's right, buddy. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries is Australia's most independently awarded air conditioner brand. And this year, they're proudly celebrating 25 years of designing quality products with unrivaled reliability, superior performance, and cutting-edge technology. So it comes as no surprise that they have the highest levels of customer satisfaction. I think what you're trying to say is, put your trust in Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, the experts in air.
For the hottest of hot water you've ever seen. Ream comes on steady, hot and strong. It just keeps on and on.
Ream's been proudly manufacturing here in Australia for over 80 years.
Install a Ream. Install a Ream.
So ask your plumber for Ream, Australia's #1.
Sunday is not the day to relax because Triple M footy finishes the weekend with a bang.
Rugby league, we love it! Shut up! The footy's on Triple M! Stand up and applaud it! Gotta love your rugby league!
This is the Triple M Sunday Sin Bin. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. PROSPA.
Yes, indeed. We're going to talk about the Sharks and the Roosters in this second hour and start to look ahead to the grand final and a great contest between Melbourne and Penrith. You've got James Hooper, you've got Jimmy Graham, you've got Gorden Tallis, Ben Dobbin recuperating from a broken neck. So we spoke to him in the first hour and he was in all sorts. But I think, Hoops, that first hour went pretty well. So I think he is a certainty to be here next week. I think it's an absolute certainty to drive down 10 hours to be here next week.
They've suspended the
road trip
market
with him.
They've suspended the market, Gordon. He's definitely going to be making a comeback next week.
Wow.
Can we put a camera in? So let's record that 10 hours of you and Dobbo.
There's a Netflix doco there.
There's something in that. Yeah, let's.
I don't know if Dobbo makes it. I don't know if Dobbo makes it down.
No. I'm down actually tomorrow. Down tomorrow, 364 nights.
Beautiful. All right. Okay. Well, sorry, Dobbo. But he'll find a way to get down here and do the show. Jimmy, this is your time to shine.
Yeah, it sure is. Because we're going to be bringing in Jared Timms from Ladbrokes. So take on the fun this footy season with a Ladbrokes same game multi. Download the Ladbrokes app app today. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. We've got Jared Timms on the line. I actually met Timsy for the first time in person. Not a bad sort.
Whereabouts?
Impeccably dressed as well.
Oh, it's contracts. I don't know you, Jared, but it's clearly contract season in Jimmy Graham's world.
Yeah, we're looking to re-sign the podcast soon, Jimmy, and you've taken a big step this afternoon, let me tell you.
Thanks, Timsy. Yeah, we were doing a little shoot for Ladbrokes, kicking the ball into a bin. It was
we were. Yep, coming soon on the Ladbrokes social.
No, you're really pushing
Obviously,
the boundaries
you lost
there.
myself and James Hooper's phone number.
Timsy,
Thanks,
the
Timsy.
Broncos are playing the Sharks in that NRLW semi-final. Can you give us an update on the head-to-head market, please?
Yeah, look, probably no real surprises this afternoon, Jimmy. The Broncos have been a genuine benchmark in the NRLW this season. Plenty of interest for the Ladbrokes punters all week. They're into $1.36. We did see some interest for the Sharks early doors, but they have drifted this afternoon. They're out to $3.10. It's an 8-point line.
What about the first try scorer market, Timsy? What's happening there?
Yeah, it's a bit of an open market, to be honest, Hoops, in terms of the spread of money here. Mele Hufunga, Julian Robinson, currently tied on the top line of betting at Ladbrokes, $8 each. We've seen interest for Lauren Dam as well, $10.50 into $9.50. Now, if you do think the Sharks are going to get on the board first, Cassie Staples, easily the best back with us today, $11. But there's interest for, as always, I should say, interest for Tiana Penatani. I thought Emma Tonagato might be the value for the Sharks today. She's a $17 chance to score the first try.
Timsy, how about a same-game multi for this game?
Yeah, I think the Broncos are going to get the job done, Jimmy, but I'm expecting it to go right down to the wire. Let's take the Broncos 1-12. Julia Robinson and Tonagato scoring tries at any time. $17.50 in a Ladbrokes same-game multi.
All right, thanks for joining us, Timsy. You go well, my friend, and I don't care what these guys say. I'm being genuine, mate. You are looking very suave.
Okay, enough.
Thanks, Jimmy. Good luck, Hunters.
Okay, all right, take on the fun this footy season with a Ladbrokes same-game multi. Download the Ladbrokes app today. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Dobbo, are you listening?
Oh, he will be twitching in the hospital bed at the moment as we speak because you absolutely hit that out of the park and it makes him look like amateur hour most Sundays.
Speaking of Dobbo, I'm just flicking through the Telegraph website. As I do when I do these, I always keep up just in case something's broken. The headline, I mean, you talk about clickbait. Celebrity life, so that's a segment. That's a section. Aussie TV star might never walk again. Now, this must have been put on that in more ways than one. Aussie TV star? I mean, you think Aussie TV star. That's right. You think Andy Lee, you think Hamish, you think, who did you say, Carl?
Matthew Johns.
Celebrity
correct.
life.
Bingo.
Celebrity life. That's definitely an oxymoron. That's not right.
Did you just call him a moron?
Now, let's talk about the Sharks men's team. Out in the Final Four, which is progress, I guess. Do we look at their season as a pass, a fail, par? Where are we at with them?
I think it's a pass. I really do. I think for them to get one game before a grand final is an advancement of where they've been at. People go back to that 16 season where they won the grand final. It's been a complete rebuild since then. Fitzy's come in. They've finally broke that hoodoo of winning a finals game. And look, the teams that they've lost to in the finals, there's no shame in losing to Melbourne or losing to Penrith. Could they have played better in those games? Absolutely. But I think in terms of where they're at, for them to get finished third/fourth, I think is arguably a tad overachieving. Maybe.
Yeah, well, you compare their roster from the year they finally turned the porch lights off in 2016. That was a far superior roster, I would argue, then. I think Craig Fitzgibbon has done an outstanding job with the top 30 that he has available at this point in time. They value add again next year with Adam Fanua-Blake. Yes. I think he can be a real point of difference for them in terms of he adds a hell of a lot of mongrel into the forward pack. Great late footwork at the line and offload. He's a try scorer. He's a damn good player. So, But they've got some big decisions to make over the summer because the issue we're all going to talk about until next March is where does Nicho Hines play and does Braden Trindle get handed the number 7 jumper?
Gordy, I was disappointed.
It's a pass, Dan.
Yeah,
mate. I think it's a massive pass. The best thing about Nicho Hines is his interview, saying he's going to work his butt off. Like a couple of his interviews leading in, and I know that he didn't want to have pressure on himself, but the great thing is, if I'm a Sharks fan, he goes, I'm going to work my butt off, and next time I get back to this situation, I'm going to be better for it. And I think he was playing his 100th game, and he goes, and I want to play another 100. And that's, to me, if I'm a Sharks fan, I like that.
Yeah, he's not run for cover. I like that as well. Gordy well said.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. And then on Trindle, I think that they're a couple of big men short where they've fixed that problem. They did play without a couple of their star players, and Ramian's one of them, but I think next year they probably need a couple of leaders in the forward pack. I thought that they were outgunned, but it's certainly a pass for the side from the Shire.
I'm just not convinced. I think the Hines of 2022 at least tries to take that game by the scruff of the neck. He is so short on confidence at the moment. That was there for him last night to at least impose himself. Now, whether it would have been good enough against the mighty Panthers, who knows? Because they had their chances.
Well,
Penrith gifted them so many chances.
Well, what could he have done better, Dan?
He didn't seem to pull the trigger. There was just a lot of catching and passing. It just seems he's not the player of 2 years ago, and that just suggests there's a massive it's not a talent problem. It's a confidence issue, and it is so low at the moment.
And that's almost the reason why Nicho's in the headlines and his performance is scrutinised to the level that it is because we know he can do that. We know he can dominate big games. We know he can be that moments player. And that's why. And it probably is a mental thing with Nicho, as well as probably an injury. How fully recovered is he from that injury? And people go, Cleary's back. It's like, yeah, look, that's a different beast, different injury. This is Nicho Hines, completely different. You can't compare that, in my opinion. I think probably the scars are with Origin and maybe what could have been. Gordon spoke, and we've spoken about the Origin series briefly in this show, but Nicho Hines was playing in a team that went down to 12 men, and he's wondering what if we'd have had 13 on there. Maybe it'd be a different story for me. The previous year where he was in a position he shouldn't have played and the effects of that. So, look, Nicho Hines has got the capability, but it's going to be a big preseason, and I think it is going to be a bit of that mental side of the sport.
Yeah, and I think Nicho's got to embrace the noise now. Like the game, like there's 360, there's all this, there's podcasts like every day. I don't know how many hours, Dan, but it was certainly never the case when I was playing. Like there used to be a Saturday after, there used to be a Friday night game, Sunday Channel 9 game, and a Saturday afternoon ABC game. That's when I was cutting my teeth. By the end of my career, there was every game live on Fox, right? These guys get scrutinised, but they earn better money. They got higher profiles, so you got to take the good with the bad. And if I'm a friend of Nicho's, I'd tell him just to embrace it and turn all the negative noise into a positive when you get to training, when you're working and no one's there and you got that little guy on the shoulder. Well, just prove everybody wrong.
Well, the main thing you missed there, social media. They're getting hammered. They're getting hammered. Every time they turn the phone on, they're getting slaughtered.
Turn it off.
Well,
100%.
I understand, Gordy.
Don't read it.
Dan, I'm going to give you a little message on that one. Everybody talks about bullying. He was in the playground when I went to school. He wasn't on my phone. I could never turn him off.
Triple M. This is the Sunday Sin Bin.
Shut up! The foot is on Triple M!
This is the Triple M Sunday Sin Bin. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. PROSPA.
Give yourself a holiday boost with up to 10% off your next break when you book direct at choicehotels.com. Boost your well-being, boost your energy, boost your happiness. Whether you're craving a coastal road trip or rainforest adventure, Choice Hotels has over 170 locations across Australia and New Zealand. Plus, you'll get the lowest price guaranteed when you book direct at choicehotels.com. So go ahead, book it with Choice Hotels. T's and C's apply. See choicehotels.com for full details.
Ready to kick goals on and off the field? You need Employment Hero. From hired to retired, it automates all the pesky parts of HR, recruitment, and payroll. Plus, it comes with Smart Match, an AI recruitment tool that matches you with top candidates instantly. Imagine never having to search for people or post a job ad again. Join the 300,000 businesses using Employment Hero to tackle employment admin and get your business back in the game. Search Employment Hero today. It's employment solved.
Hey, there he is. How's dad life?
Phil, I'm so tired, but it's the best.
All settled in with everything?
Yeah, pretty much. Switched my super over to C-Bus too.
What's that got to do with your kid?
Oh, well, I really got to make sure this hard work pays off now. You know.
True.
CBus Super, making hard work pay off since 1984. To consider if CBus is right for you, go to cbussuper.com.au for PDS and TMD. Past performance is not a reliable indicator of future performance.
When it comes to Sydney's freshest produce, Paddy's Markets, Haymarket and Flemington are Sydney's home of fresh food. Our traders only offer premium in-season produce, plus the freshest seafood, farm-sourced meats and poultry, plus a full international selection of premium deli goods. Make a visit to Paddy's this week and talk to a trader about what's in season and fresh today. Paddy's, home to Sydney's freshest food at value prices. Visit paddysmarkets.com.au.
Do you require professional help with a legal matter? At Bryden's Lawyers, our dedicated team are here to help you with all your legal needs. Whether you're dealing with a personal injury claim, family law matter, or property dispute, the experts at Bryden's Lawyers have the knowledge and experience to guide you through the process and put your mind at ease. Call Bryden's Lawyers today at 1-800-848-848 or visit brydens.com.au. Bryden's Lawyers, who helps you in your time of need? We do.
Just like footy, when it comes to business, having the right team makes all the difference. And when you've got Prosper on your side, it's game on. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. They offer funding solutions up to $500,000. Enjoy an easy online application with funding possible within hours. Take control of your cash flow. Get Prosper on your team today at prosper.com. That's PROSPA. T's and C's and standard credit criteria apply.
Cut through the background blah to hear more of the sounds you want to hear with Specsaver's advanced hearing technology.
Steps through, parts the seas. It's a try!
Book a hearing appointment with our audiology professionals for high-definition sound at low Specsavers prices.
It's one of the best tries you'll ever see.
Always follow the directions for use.
Shut up! The foot is on Triple M!
This is the Triple M Sunday Sin Bin. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. PROSPA.
And hello to all the YouTube people watching and listening in. What about last week, Jimmy Hooper? So I am listening to the end of the show, and I've said all year, in fact, I've come on this show and said, what you blokes, this should be on TV. The ultimate would be that Fox would take it, right, and put proper cameras in here. But you're in the studio most of the time, put the cameras on. So you do it last week. You go on YouTube, great idea, and here's Dobbo, before the broken neck and the media tour, saying, well done, Jimmy Graham, that was your brainchild. I've told you for 6 months to do this, Jimmy. And there's Jimmy Graham, just sitting back, luxuriating in this compliment that he didn't deserve.
You were talking about this before. I couldn't remember. I actually can't remember saying that. I wish I could have. I'd have asked just to clip it up and.
I can because you looked at me quite perplexed when he said.
Yeah. Hey, boys, I actually listened to the show last week when I finished the Gorden Tallis Cup. I'd rather listen to it than work on it, to be quite honest. It was so good.
Gordy, welcome to my world. Isn't it fun?
And Blocker was so good. But just on that, mate, for all the kids in the Gorden Tallis Cup, Dan, I just want to give them a wrap. There was 360 games. The kids, it was a really hot weekend in Townsville. The Tenham Seagulls won it, and it was a fantastic weekend. But to all the kids, they listen to Triple M and they watch all the shows. But thank you for making the Cup so enjoyable. And to all the teams, 80-odd that travelled up to Townsville and made rugby league so great. It's the reason why I do it, to go have so many kids out there playing. And then the night before, I watched the Cowboys at the casino. I went into the Ville and had a beer, and there was all the fringe Cowboys players that didn't make the top side, and there was 3 of those guys that had played in the Gorden Tallis Cup. That's how long it's been going. So
gets bigger every year.
Yeah, it gets bigger. Yeah, it gets bigger, and rugby league can't get any bigger in North Queensland. And to Townsville Junior Rugby League and everybody that travelled, thank you so much.
Good stuff, Gordy. By the way, we do the show for Prosper. It's game on for small business owners with Prosper, Australia's #1 online lender to small business. Learn more, prosper.com. That is PROSPA. Hoops, once Michael Maguire is punched in as Broncos coach,
Yep.
Who's going to coach New South Wales?
Yeah, well, that's $1 million question right now, isn't it, Dan? Names that have been mentioned, Laurie Daly, Ricky Stewart. I know Laurie has got some early support with some of the power brokers at the New South Wales Rugby League. They're still big
I
fans
thought Laurie
of him.
was offered first last year with Craig Bellamy.
No, I hadn't heard that, Gordon. But
Well, I'm talking out of school
Mhm.
because Craig Bellamy went to his Melbourne Storm Queenslanders
Oh, okay, and asked them about it.
and asked would they have a problem if he coached against
Interesting.
them. And that's what he did, with Cameron and Billy when he was there. You go and ask, your senior players. And obviously when you have Cooper Cronk, Greg Inglis, Billy Slater and, the guys, well, you probably would go and just run it by them. And I heard a rumour that that's what happened again.
So who would have been the coach?
I don't
Craig
know.
or
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, he's openly said Bellamy in the past when he did it, he hated it because he had to coach against. Now, the fair group of players he had to coach against: Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk, Cameron Smith, Greg Inglis.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest group to want to have to coach against.
No, it is the final frontier if Craig did want to go down that road, though. Like, he's had so much success in every other aspect of the game. He was an assistant with Ricky Stewart when he coached the Kangaroos, and they won however many tests in a row.
Would Ivan Cleary be A, interested, and B, a possibility?
I think they're mad if they don't look at it. But
You would offer him everything, wouldn't you?
the issue that they've got is they're wedded to the fact that they don't want somebody who is already pre-engaged in clubland with a full-time job. They don't think you can juggle both roles.
The demands on it
unless
are
you're-
insane.
You can unless you're Ivan Cleary and Craig Bellamy. They got so much weight behind their name.
Do you think that
In
the
my
Melbourne
opinion.
Storm and the Panthers would be okay with that, though? But that
I think if Ivan went to Penrith after winning 4, I think they're keeping him as happy as they possibly can. And I reckon Craig, for what he's given the Melbourne Storm, if that's part of it,
100%.
I reckon they say yes. If it's a young rookie coach, I think they say no. But for how good those two are, for how professional they are, you can get someone like Brad Fittler and all those guys. They keep on doing the amazing job around there, to get the community behind them. But I'd have. That's the first phone call I'm making to either one of those two, and I'd press a button, I'd flip a coin and ring both of those guys.
if they stick with that, it can't be a current head coach sort of philosophy. I think Ricky Stewart has been muted, and the passion that he can bring, and he's obviously very established in Canberra. But if they keep with that philosophy, would a guy like McGregor come into consideration? Obviously, he's coached at NRL before. He's played and very passionate about New South Wales. Someone like him, or even Jimmy Maloney, who, again, recent winner. That's the sort of model that Queensland go down, that recent winner. He's got some coaching experience there at the Cowboys, maybe a bit green. But I know there's a couple of people who've I've sprung to mind that maybe a little bit outside the box.
Mary certainly, he was part of the New South
Yeah, he
Wales
was,
setup
yeah.
when Freddie was the head coach. He was one of the assistants and did it all as a player. Like, one series with the Blues,
Why
played
doesn't
for the
Joey
Kangaroos.
do it?
Well, he kind of did when Freddie was in there a couple of years ago. He wasn't the head coach, but he was heavily involved with all the elements of attack.
Wouldn't it be good if Joey and Matty, and they keep on going, oh, no.
That would be awesome if those two would do
It'd
it.
be
Yeah.
so cool.
They
right?
said they'd do Samoa. Remember when they said they'd do
did.
Samoa?
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, that would be
but-
fantastic.
But there's different pressure, right, on those guys doing that. But they don't,
They don't need it.
Nobody
the
does.
state-
That's
listen,
true.
listen. Billy Slater don't need it.
Yeah.
Billy Slater does not need it in his life. But he said, as long as Queensland asks me to do it, I'll do it.
Fair enough.
An open letter, Dan, an open letter right now to Andrew and Matthew Johns for the game.
Let's get Buzz on the line, Gordy. We'll get him to do an open letter tomorrow.
Buzz does a great open
He
letter.
does.
Right. So you're saying in consultation with Gordy,
Yeah.
No,
Gordy can't come from Gordy.
Stay out of it. But then you think that with Danny Badiris, like what a combination Joey and Danny were at origin level, right? And you got Matty in the background that can help out. And, you never know if Chief does a cameo and Cordner and all those New South Wales guys just come in. How good would it be?
Stay out of New South Wales business. Seriously, Gordy, stay away from New South Wales.
What are you talking about, Dan? I played New South Wales under 19.
That's right, you did. Have you still got that blue jumper?
Yes, I do.
I'm sure you went all right.
So listen here, mate. New South Wales old boys are allowed to comment. New South Wales old boys stuff.
All right.
I still got a rash from it, actually.
Roosters. Where are they at, Jimmy? Because gone, Warrior Hargreaves and Keary. That was a really nice touch what Melbourne Storm did. I thought it was quite beautiful.
Classy.
Tupanu was gone. Swaliti and Manu are gone. That's a very different looking team next year. Very different looking team.
Some huge boots to fill from experience-wise, but also like playing ability-wise. From memory, their signings, I think there's only Nawonga Nitawase has come in.
Yeah. Townsend will do a nice job, but
does he play in NRL?
Well, he's not getting He's not getting picked for the Cowboys, Dan.
I don't know. If, Well, I think that, certainly the narrative that the Roosters have pushed around Townsend is that he's been signed primarily to play New South Wales Cup, and if needed, he may play a limited amount of games. There's no Sam Walker, but
so
I get the impression
there's got to be a big fish out there, Hoops.
I get the impression as though there is going to be some significant movement over the course of the summer. I don't know which way it's going to twist or turn yet.
This off-season, I reckon we could be in for one of the biggest player-moving off-seasons that we've seen in a long time.
What happens to Ben Hunt at St George Illawarra? Does he stay there?
The Fox.
Yes.
There's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of potential movers out there. And the Roosters have got money and they've got sway and they very rarely miss out. And look, the roster that they've got at the moment on paper for next year, I'd be flabbergasted if it's the same.
Well, it's not a premiership team next year.
No, it seems a little
13
thin.
Broncos off contract too.
Yes.
And if a new coach goes in...
Well, there you go.
Well, sorry, when the new coach goes in...
Yeah. Maybe they're not happy. I mean, so you just don't know, right?
There's gonna... Like, the Roosters, it's spookily quiet in their recruitment.
Is there a chance they've lost their magic touch? Is there any possibility?
Well,
I don't think so. But is there a chance?
Well, they got Lenu. They got Lenu. They got Young.
No,
I don't think they've lost their magic touch.
Ching,
I think all of a sudden they had some unforeseen curveballs come up where I think the plan was that Joseph Suaalii was going to be the long-term successor to James Tedesco. Well, that got railroaded because Isaac Moses went and did a secret deal with Rugby Australia, which then sent Nick Politis and the rest of the Roosters board apoplectic, and they haven't spoken to him since. Then Joey Manu wants to go and have a cameo over in Japan. Then Luke Keary says he's going to retire, and then all of a sudden now he's going to actually go over and play for Catalans in the English Super League. Jared was always on the agenda, but it just feels as though they did get blindsided to a degree in terms of some of their recruitment and retention, which they aren't normally. And it has just left them that little bit vulnerable at this stage. But like I say, I still get the impression as though there could be some significant movement over the course of the summer. Not just around them, but around other clubs too.
Yeah.
Like you got the Parramatta situation with Clint Gutherson. There's going to be things moving and shaking.
You got the Bulldogs with plenty of cap room to work with as well. Like, there's going to be some movement.
All right. Triple M, rocking Sunday footy. The NRLW semi-finals coming up shortly as we do the Sunday Sin Bin for Prosper, Australia's #1 online lender to small business. Visit prosper.com.
Shut up! The foot is on Triple M!
This is the Triple M Sunday Sin Bin. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. PROSPA.
That's right, buddy. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries is Australia's most independently awarded air conditioner brand. And this year, they're proudly celebrating 25 years of designing quality products with unrivaled reliability, superior performance, and cutting-edge technology. So it comes as no surprise that they have the highest levels of customer satisfaction. I think what you're trying to say is put your trust in Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, the experts in air.
For the hottest of hot water you've ever seen. Ream comes on steady, hot and strong. It just keeps on and on.
Ream's been proudly manufacturing here in Australia for over 80 years.
Install a Ream. Install a Ream.
So ask your plumber for Ream, Australia's #1.
Give yourself a holiday boost with up to 10% off your next break when you book direct at choicehotels.com. Boost your well-being, boost your energy, boost your happiness. Whether you're craving a coastal road trip or rainforest adventure, Choice Hotels has over 170 locations across Australia and New Zealand. Plus, you'll get the lowest price guaranteed when you book direct at choicehotels.com. So go ahead, book it with Choice Hotels. T's and C's apply. See choicehotels.com for full details.
Ready to kick goals on and off the field? You need Employment Hero. From hired to retired, it automates all the pesky parts of HR, recruitment and payroll. Plus, it comes with Smart Match, an AI recruitment tool that matches you with top candidates instantly. Imagine never having to search for people or post a job ad again. Join the 300,000 businesses using Employment Hero to tackle employment admin and get your business back in the game. Search Employment Hero today. It's employment solved.
Hey, there he is. How's dad life?
Phil, I'm so tired, but it's the best.
All settled in with everything?
Yeah, pretty much. Switched my super over to C-Bus too.
What's that got to do with your kid?
Oh, well, I really got to make sure this hard work pays off now. You know?
True.
Cbus Super, making hard work pay off since 1984. To consider if Cbus is right for you, go to cbussuper.com.au for PDS and TMD. Past performance is not a reliable indicator of future performance.
When it comes to Sydney's freshest produce, Paddy's Markets, Haymarket and Flemington are Sydney's home of fresh food. Our traders only offer premium in-season produce, plus the freshest seafood, farm-sourced meats and poultry, plus a full international selection of premium deli goods. Make a visit to Paddy's this week and talk to a trader about what's in season and fresh today. Paddy's, home to Sydney's freshest food at value prices. Visit paddysmarket.com.au.
Do you require professional help with a legal matter? At Bryden's Lawyers, our dedicated team are here to help you with all your legal needs. Whether you're dealing with a personal injury claim, family law matter, or property dispute, the experts at Bryden's Lawyers have the knowledge and experience to guide you through the process and put your mind at ease. Call Bryden's Lawyers today at 1-800-848-848 or visit brydens.com.au. Bryden's Lawyers, who helps you in your time of need? We do.
Shut up! The foot is on Triple M!
This is the Triple M Sunday Sin Bin. Prosper is Australia's #1 online lender to small business. PROSPA.
Yes, indeed. By the way, I Call BS, which we did earlier, thanks to Ariat. Kit yourself out head to toe with Ariat. Quality clothing with boots, comfortable and stylish. From the outback to the office, ariat.com.au. Now we do the Mitsubishi Triton Toughest Player. Who does this? I'm gathering this as a Jimmy Graham special.
That's right, Dan. My Mitsubishi Triton Toughest Player is Cam Munster. The way he approached the back end of that game, I think you've got to give credit to him. Obviously, the story of his groin injury, the game is done and dusted. But, Gordon spoke about it earlier, mentioned about the fact that some players just go looking for the moment, and Cam Munster had no need to do that. I imagine Coach Bellamy was sat in the box thinking, mate, no. Just steady your ass. You don't need to do that. But then the application and the willingness to just put the knife into the Roosters, that's sealing a victory. And, Cam Munster, what a playoff series he's put together. Jerome Hughes will likely win Dally M Player of the Year, but the way things are shaping up at the moment, it's hard to see past Cameron Munster for the player of the final series so far.
Well, if he continues the rich vein of form that he's been in, you'd have to think he's a damn good shot at the Clive Churchill medal. Melbourne would need to win, you would think. But the form that he's been in, you're 100% spot on, Jimmy. He loves these big games and the big stage and the big occasion.
That's what makes this game so fascinating, Gordy. By the way, that's for Mitsubishi, all new Mitsubishi Triton. Nothing can frighten a Triton. the last few years we've had Penrith play Broncos, who are rising, Parramatta, who are sort of plucky outsiders. Melbourne this time, like it's stars versus stars, Gordy, and that's what makes this so captivating. I see bookies have it about even. Yep. I mean, you've got proven winners obviously Penrith are proven winners. They've done nothing but win for the last few years. But you put Harry Grant, who suddenly hit some real form, Cam Munster, Jerome Hughes, Pappenhausen looked great. That's what makes this a pretty special grand final.
Yeah, and it'll come down to the fringe players. It'll come down to the ones. You know that Harry Grant will do his job. You know Munster, you know Hughes, you know Pappenhausen. You know the big guys will go out there and do their job. You think Cleary, Yeo, you know, Luai and Edwards, they will be super consistent. It's the ones just below them that really need to lift, that have to have a breakout grand final, the ones that, you know, will sort of help and maybe change some momentum and, you know, do their job.
Just on that.
Yeah, go on.
No, I was going to say, the fringes, you're right, Gordon, those players that are either you look at it, you rise to the occasion or you fall to your greatest level of preparation. But the battle through the middle of the field, now with Leota and Fisher-Harris and no Nelson, is it advantage Penrith?
Well, Roosters probably have the best pack.
Yeah.
Arguably. What did they do?
Yeah, they couldn't match them. But I think, yeah.
Mate,
Melbourne didn't have Nelson for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Start the game.
Yeah, and then Melbourne just, I don't know how they do it. They just tend to handle everything that's thrown at them. They just, you know, they just absorb all the punishment. They just absorb and they get an opportunity. And they said Munster, you know, I think being so fresh, it's going to be a shootout, Cleary, Munster, Yeo and the like.
Or the moment of a Coates up against the Toto. Yeah, like
absolutely.
Or a Warbrick on Taruva, whichever way that those matches opposite against each other.
Geez, you got some height mismatches there.
Yeah.
Jimmy, I want to know, right, let's say you're playing for Melbourne, you're going into the grand final. Do you, James Graham, put your hand up and say, you let me test Nathan Cleary's shoulder out?
Well, again, I don't know how much you want to focus in terms of like...
You want to test it, though.
Well, kick pressure is where you're going to get it. Kick pressure is where you're going to get that ability. I don't think you want to change your game plan too much. Look, I think this contest, both teams, Melbourne are going to say, we just need to stick to do what we do, and Penrith are exactly the same, which just means like both teams will be full of confidence in their own ability to win a game with the style of play that they've produced all year.
Did you say in 2014, boys, you leave Sammy to me?
No.
You leave Sammy to me.
No, it was just...
Nothing wrong with it, Jimmy.
No, it was circumstantial. He shouldn't have been standing there. He was the lock forward. They're supposed to stand on the 10-metre line. It was supposed to be Dave Tyrrell or George.
Yeah, I call bullshit on that. Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
He always used to stand there.
No, he didn't. That's not where he was wearing number 13.
Here.
Think about where the 13... Isaiah Yeo, does he stand at the back? No, he lets Leota and Fisher-Harris do that.
Yeah, but Sam wasn't a
You're just shitty because Sam
13.
speaks Queen's English and you speak like...
Actually, I was a bit devoed today. They got a golden point victory against my St. Helens team. In the first round of the playoffs,
You've got to build a bridge and
George
get over
Williams.
And well done, by the way, those in the sweep that had Jimmy's first St. Helens mention at 12:01. Jimmy mentioned straight off the bat that St. Helens beat Penrith at the World Club Challenge a couple of years ago. Well, that's well done. So St. Helens out.
Yeah, they're out, unfortunately, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So who's playing in the big one?
No, it's 2 weeks away, so what's left? Wigan will play Warrington, I believe, and Hull KR play Lee. Maybe.
In fairness, this is pretty good stuff from Sam Burgess. Like,
Very
Warrington's
good.
always been there and thereabouts. But
if he can get them over the line.
Well, it's still isn't it still the expected narrative, Hoops, once Wayne Bennett has his stint, Sam, they're sort of making the bed for him to come in?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Sam still enjoys an extremely strong rapport with Russell Crowe, who is one of the co-owners of the Bunnies. The way that he left, there'd certainly be some bridges that need mending, because he did throw a fair few hand grenades on the way out the door at Heffron Park. But I think with the benefit of the hindsight, we can all see that he was actually bang on the money in a lot of respects. So he is loved by that club and all of its members and fans, and I think there's a synergy and a nice narrative there. And if he gets the runs on the board with Warrington, well, then he's done his time. He's proven that he can do it. I've spoken to plenty of players who have worked along with him, and they reckon he just has this innate ability, Jimmy, to be able to lift players' ability above and beyond.
You've got to admire what he's done. He went and coached that team in Group 7, was it? The Axemen. He went and coached them, clear desire to coach, didn't get any favours or fast track there. And then he goes over to England, moves with a pregnant wife, and that's a big deal to do that. So he's made his intent clear that he wants to coach, and credit to him, he's re-signed at Warrington because he's not looking too far ahead. But I imagine if that opportunity comes up, he'd jump at it in a heartbeat.
And he's doing it the right way because he's not sitting as an assistant. He's going and making mistakes.
All right,
I think you learn more in the hot seat than you do sitting as an assistant.
Beautiful. We got to go. Thank you. You've made it a pleasure, gentlemen.
Thanks, Dan.
I don't know if Dobbo's back. Honestly, he should rest up. In all seriousness, the bloke had a broken neck, but I think he'll be back next week. Thank you, Hoops. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Gordy. Coming up on the other side of this, it is the NRLW finals, both of them live right here on Triple M. Thank you, Hoops. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Gordy. Coming up on the other side of this, it is the NRLW